What do you wish women knew about starting over?
Don't be afraid. You know, Nike created the best slogan ever. Just do it.
Yeah.
You learn and grow and thrive from experience.
Yeah.
Until you actually start over and do it, you don't know what the journey's going to be like.
Yeah.
It's different for every person, and you just have to embrace it. As an entrepreneur, you learn a very important lesson. The only constant is change. And in starting over, the only constant is change. You just learn to navigate it.
I'm Susan Yara, and welcome to My Life Online. We're going to have a lot of fun and learn a lot together.
When I filed for divorce, I hadn't really considered what interesting or even positive things I might consider for this new chapter of my life until I ran into our next guest, who is Divya Gugnani. You probably know her as the co-founder of Wander Beauty. She also has another brand called 5 Cents that she's working on right now. It's a beautiful fragrance brand, and you really need to take a look at it because it's so much fun. But when I ran into her, she started talking about her experience with divorce and also an experience that really inspired me. You guys are going to be really surprised by what that experience was. So whether you're considering divorce or not, or you're an entrepreneur or just a successful woman, because I'm telling you, she does so much more than just found companies. She's an investor. She's a great speaker. She does so much, and she really has been an inspiration. So I think you're going to really enjoy this chat. I am so excited for you to be here, mostly because I have to tell you, when I ran into you, I was really fresh off of my divorce, and I feel like I hadn't really had a good conversation about divorce with someone who I just respect and who is so successful. And you gave me, I mean, honestly, you're gonna find out. You have inspired me so much to make decisions that I would have never even considered. And one of those decisions is because of you specifically.
Oh my God.
And so we'll get into this.
That's a lot of responsibility. I'm nervous now.
No, don't be nervous, because I'm just so excited about this. Just all these, honestly, like revelations. I think you realize as a woman, especially one that's like deep in your career, that you don't actually have conversations about divorce and true like personal life conversations with other women that are doing similar things. And when you do have these conversations, it's so eye-opening for you because I don't know, I think you just like shut it down, like wrap it up in a box and like put it somewhere in the back of your mind, and you just keep on charging forward, right?
We just had a very open, vulnerable, real conversation.
Yeah.
And that's what I admire. Like those connections that you make. I always say like networking is dead. All those superficial going to a party. We were at a party. Everyone's like working the room, trying to say hello to people. I'm like, no, I'm going to talk to Susan. And that's like the whole evening. I have this one deep, meaningful conversation. And that to me, I think is more valuable than meeting 20 people that you're going to say hi to and make LinkedIn connections with.
I completely agree. Because why? Otherwise, I don't even want to go to events if that's what, you know what I mean? If you're not going to have a fun, meaningful conversation, it's just, I don't even want to go.
Build your inner circle that you can text and talk to when anything happens.
Exactly.
And it always does happen.
Always. Well, okay, first off, before we get into all the nitty gritty, let's hear a little bit more about your background, because you have started so many businesses and been successful with them and have just done so much with your life. So can you share that?
Sure. I would have never imagined would have done all these things. That's actually the beauty of it. So I went to Cornell undergrad. I then got a job at Goldman Sachs, slept under a desk, did investment banking. That was, a great experience. Worked in private equity, invested in late stage businesses, worked in venture capital, invested in early stage businesses, worked at multi-billion-dollar funds. So got great training, great education when it came to business and leadership and all these things. I was just a fly on the wall, to be honest with you. I was just kind of soaking it all in, shy, introverted Indian girl, learning everything step by step. And then I became an entrepreneur completely by accident. I ended up starting a business with a guy I was dating. Fast forward, co-founded and built 5 companies, sold 3, most recently built Wander Beauty, Effortless Essentials for wherever you wander, and sold that to Nameless CPG. And I have my fragrance brand, 5 Cents, which is all about your mood bottles.
I love that so much. I mean, Wander Beauty is iconic for you were like, I feel like you're the original of the under eye patches.
Personal pain point.
Yeah.
Like this is what's so interesting about trusting your gut, and even comes to the topics that we're going to talk about today. When I launched Wander, we launched makeup, and we were successful with makeup. And then I went in this meeting with our retail partner, and I was like, I went to Korea. I hadn't slept all night. I have genetic dark circles. My dad looks like a bulldog. I worked with a chemist to create this incredible formulation that is what I call coffee for your face. It depuffs, hydrates, and brightens that under eye area, which literally makes you look awake. And I need that. Mom of 3 kids, working, running around, all of the above. And they were like, stay in your lane, do makeup. Like this might be an Instagram thing. And then my gut told me to just do it. And that has literally become our number one. The baggage claim gold eye mask has been our number one across all retail channels.
I still use them. They're fun.
It's just, they genuinely have 3 layers, amazing technology, camel extract. It's like a very potent form of vitamin C. They work.
They do. No, they work.
You know this from being a founder.
And you know what? They don't
Free
slide
products
down.
that work. Yeah.
They don't slide down. It's like these little details.
Deliver results and people will buy them and word of mouth will be there for you.
Okay, so now I'm going to tell you. All right. So when I ran into her, I was like fresh off my divorce and we started talking. I hadn't realized that you had gone through divorce, remarried, also have a baby.
Yes.
And I just immediately, when you told me this, I was just like, I need to hear all of it. So first off, okay, when it comes to divorce, especially as a successful woman, I feel like everyone, the question I probably get the most is, how did you know it was time? Because I think as successful women, I think as women in general, we're not quitters, right? So when you get married, the thought of getting a divorce just feels like, no, I can't do that. I have to make this work. So
it's cultural.
Yeah.
So I think from our backgrounds, there's a cultural implication of like, my dad used to always say, make it work.
Yeah.
And he meant it.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that parental pressure, that societal pressure, that family pressure. And then there's just these emotions that you go through. You and I talked about this. It's like, you're in a relationship with someone and at times you feel happy, you feel supported, and other times you feel lonely, you feel abandoned, you feel like you're working too hard, you feel like you're doing it all alone. There's just so many varying emotional states. And you go through this for a prolonged period of time. And when things are not working, the best thing to do is to communicate.
Yep.
So step 1 is communicate. You're not feeling like you're in a good place, communicate with your partner. We did this for 4 years. We communicated over our issues, our problems, what was not working in our relationship. And then there comes a time where you're like, okay, I have tried everything in my power to make this work.
Yeah.
I have 2 children at this point. I want the best for them. I want them to grow up with a cohesive family unit. I want to give them something really like happy, peaceful, and wonderful. And I realized I couldn't deliver that outcome at that moment. And in the construct that we were in, it was not working. And so it was time to do something. And I will tell you, a very successful, smart friend of mine said to me, Divya, as an entrepreneur, you always taught me a philosophy. And she's like, you taught me hire slowly, fire quickly. Be very deliberate about the people you bring into your life, you bring into your company, who drive success with you, alongside you, and be very deliberate about when those relationships are not working. Because one bad apple literally does ruin the bunch. And you know this from being an entrepreneur. So why didn't you apply that philosophy to your life? And it was so fascinating that she brought that up to me. I said, you know what? I knew it wasn't working, but I gave it everything I could. And I thought a lot about it until I realized it was time for my next chapter.
Yeah, completely. And it's hard. It's hard. I tell everybody this. I don't wish divorce on anybody.
Nobody.
Because it's not an easy transition. It's especially hard if you have kids.
Right.
If you don't have kids, honestly, I don't know if it's that hard. But
you go on living your most amazing single life. But with children, there's a lot to consider. And I just think also emotionally, we get so busy and immersed in our work as busy entrepreneurs and investors that we lose sight of taking care of ourselves and our emotions. And I saw you today and I was like, she looks so happy. You're like, I gave her a gift of happy tears. That's like my new fragrance. So I really feel like our emotional state is something we need to tap more into. This is what makes us successful as female leaders. Emotional intelligence is actually a superpower.
Yeah.
And we need to use that to our advantage. So when we're not feeling good, it shows up everywhere in our business and our family life. And when we're feeling great, it radiates. And so we have to really take care of ourselves.
Yeah,
in every which way we need to.
I agree completely.
And it looks different for every person.
Completely different. And, I've had friends now talk to me about, like they might be having problems in their marriage. And then they're like, how did you know? And when I start to talk to them, I can tell that they're not there. I'm like, you know what? I don't think you want a divorce.
Yeah.
Take a step back and do all the things to try to fix this first. So I don't want to tell people like we're encouraging divorce. Because I really don't.
Definitely not.
I don't wish it on anybody. But I do think that if you're thinking about it, that's definitely something. But if you don't feel that need to get a divorce, I do think that there's something about trying to fix it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a lot of things that are fixable.
I remember one of my friends who's an entrepreneur also, she got a divorce, I want to say like 4 years ago. And when she was going through that whole process, I asked her, how did you know? And I think I was considering already at that point. And she was like, for her, because she's like the breadwinner and everything, she was like, you know what? I had this realization that I would open my bank account and give everything.
Empty it
out.
Just for the peace of mind.
Just for the peace.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And I think, so again, repeating theme. Certain personalities, female entrepreneurs, investors, driving entrepreneurial success, that strong entrepreneurial drive, it really plays a big role in our life. It plays a big role in our professional life. It plays a big role in our home life.
Mm-hmm.
And we have different thresholds for what we need from a partner. And it made me look totally different from someone who doesn't have a career like that.
That is absolutely true. So do you think as successful women, we can have it all? Like, do you think that we can have a successful marriage, have children, and have successful business?
I think we can. It's so fascinating. If you look at the pattern of how I picked spouses, I never imagined in a million years that I would pick someone who actually works more than I do, because my work was a lot of the problem in my relationship, which I feel played a factor in us getting divorced.
Yeah.
And I take responsibility for that. So just in full transparency, I knew my ex-husband and I shared values. We really were on the same page for many things, which is why we have an amazing friendship and an amazing co-parenting relationship. And we still really value and trust each other, right? Mm-hmm. As an entrepreneur, you know that outstanding brands are built by outstanding people, mm-hmm. right? And outstanding teams drive outstanding results when they trust each other. Mm-hmm. And so my relationship with my ex-husband was this outstanding trust and outstanding partnership in so many ways.
Right.
But my work played such a strong factor in wearing and tearing our relationship. And so when I got married to Carl, my, now husband, I was worried. I was like, I don't want my work to repeat itself. And then here I am getting into a relationship with someone who works more hours than I do, who has an incredibly committed career, who has a leadership position, is now getting another degree. But I think the construct is different, because I think if you bake in the mental and emotional support that you need and get the physical help that you need, the construct is totally different because the expectations are different. I think I went into a traditional marriage, my prior marriage, with the expectation that I'm the woman, yet I'm also going to have a career.
Right.
So I was burning the candle on both ends, and I was constantly burning out. And I entered this relationship with a different construct. You work and have a successful career. I work and have a successful career. We are in this together. And it is our joint responsibility to make our 3 children, our home, our professional and our personal lives work.
Right.
Different construct.
God, that makes so much sense.
Doesn't it?
That makes so much sense, because honestly, I think
it's a
I
framework.
I went into my marriage in that original mindset as well that you had, or like that construct that you had. But it's because I was much younger. I was in my career and I was pretty deep in it, but I hadn't started my own business yet. I was just starting to get into all of this and it was just starting to build. So I still had a lot of the traditional wife duties as well. And I think that became also a big issue, because as I got busier as a businesswoman, then I couldn't do the traditional stuff as much.
Tried to change that construct so many times. It was that 4-year evolution of being like, okay, what we're doing is not working. The formula doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's like, if there's a problem or issue with the children, that is my responsibility. I'm their mother. I'm the first person to drop what I'm doing to take care of my child.
Always.
There's an issue and problem at work. Guess who's handling that too? You're looking at her.
Always.
If there's a problem with anything in my investment portfolio, that's again, my founders come to me. They don't want to talk to anyone at my fund. They want to talk to me. And so this demand on my time just kept pulling me in every different direction, which literally just wore me down. Mm-hmm. And I was constantly fueled by taking care of so many people around me, but not taking care of myself. And if you don't put that oxygen mask on first, you got nothing to offer anybody.
That is absolutely true. You're just crashing.
Correct.
Completely crashing. So that kind of leads into, you change the construct of your marriage and your relationship in your new relationship, which I feel like has helped a lot and changed that whole dynamic. Did it reshape your thinking as a business owner? Also, like finding
100%.
love and like going into dating and everything.
Oh, it was such an interesting journey. So it all happened by accident. As I think the best connections actually happen like that. It's like we met at a party and then we just bonded. The same thing happened with Carl. So I met Carl at the pool at my building.
Yeah.
And I had no expectations of any romantic relationship. I had moved from New York to Miami. I was starting my life over. My kids were my priority. And him and I became great friends. I actually set him up on a date and he invited me to go with him. And then him
on
and
the date.
Yeah, he was like,
he was kind of like being like our protective barrier.
He was just like, I have a friend from New York here. Why don't the 4 of us go out? I don't really like these blind date one-on-one situations. But I really wanted to set him up with his friend. Out of genuinely in my heart, I saw 2 people that I thought would be a great match. I love to matchmake. It's kind of like, it's like a habit of mine.
Yeah.
And then we just became inseparable friends and our bond built. And he got to see my life honestly for what it was. You know how you like try before you buy, you like hire consultants before you hire them full-time as an entrepreneur because you're like, I kind of want to see how my chemistry is with this person and I want to invest this big amount of salary and benefits into somebody. He got to see me as all of me, working, taking care of my children, all the demands on my time. Like we had a friendship. There were no expectations in a relationship. And he got to know me for me. And I got to know him for him. And I got to experience his grueling schedule, working till 11 p.m. on call, working weekends. Like I got to go through that firsthand. So I went in eyes wide open, knowing what his life was like. He knew what my life was like. But it completely changed. Being a single parent when I separated changed my life. It was really demanding. And I really realized that there was no someone like a spouse to pick up my slack when I was running late, when I was having an issue, when I had to travel. Like I had to become ruthlessly efficient and I had to prioritize in a way I had never done before. And I had to be present for my children in a deep way that, to be honest with you, I wasn't so committed to before. So my kids will tell you all the time that I used to eat dinner in New York with 2 laptops. And that is 100% true. Like there were 2 laptops. I made dinner. We're at the table. I was like, just one more email. I'm finishing up this document. And like, I would talk to them and be like half listening about their day and typing. I don't do that. Like once I became on my own, I was like, my time with my children is protected and valuable. And I need to invest and be present with them. And I need to ruthlessly prioritize everything that needs to get done. And I need to be efficient to a different degree.
Yep. I feel this. I'm like in it.
And those systems and processes that I put in place, like the planning all the meals on the weekend so that my week would go seamlessly. It's like the Steve Jobs of like realizing how to handle your life. He wore a mock Isemiyaki black turtleneck, I think every single day to work.
His whole closet was the same thing. So I think Einstein was the same way.
Listen, he had important business decisions to make every single day. And he wanted to use his mental capacity in its fullest ability for those decisions. Hence, he didn't want to be thinking about every day what he was going to wear. Same thing as I don't want to be thinking every day about what I'm making for dinner. I want to handle and batch that on the weekend. So every day I'm in the moment at dinner. It's pre-planned, pre-organized, and I'm in the moment with my children. Enjoying like what happened that day. What's the drama? What's the tea? What's going on?
Yeah, I love that. So let me tell you how you inspired me. Like something I didn't even consider until I talked to you. You know exactly what I'm going to say. Okay. So when I ran into Divya, I was like, we just started talking about divorce and everything. She tells me she's got, at the time, a 10-month-old baby. And I'm like, what?
And then she takes a double take. Like, how did that woman have a baby?
Well, because I'm in my 40s. So I'm like, I hadn't even considered that maybe someday I might want another baby. And I'm not saying I want a baby right now. But
I'm channeling all those baby vibes for you.
She tells me,
wait till I put my daughter in your lap. We're going to change this around.
Oh, listen, I get baby fever all the damn time. Like as soon as I see a 15-month-old baby, like that little period of time, my favorite. I hear them chuckle, like laugh or something. And I'm like, I need one of those.
And the words. You're so cute.
So cute. That personality right at that age. Anyway, so I thought I was completely done. It didn't even cross my mind that I would maybe potentially want kids in the future. And then I talked to you and I'm going to let you tell the story.
It was so interesting. I always wanted a big family. I knew that since I was young. I used to like tease my mom. I'd be like, Mom, I'm going to have the Brady Bunch. I'm going to have like 6 kids. And she's like, 6 kids? Like that's a lot to manage. And then it didn't work out that way. It just didn't work out that way. I focused on my career. I focused on my relationship. I had 2 children. I'm very happy with those 2 children. But there was this feeling of longing that I always wanted more children. And the biggest thing that actually changed my life, that honestly was the inspiration of that fragrance, Happy Tears, that I shared with you, was becoming a mother. Like it was that moment where I became a mom. It just changed who I am because I experienced love in a way that I didn't know I could.
I know.
I really didn't know it was possible to love someone so much as you love your child and to feel so much tenderness and vulnerability and so feel so fragile in like a good way about a relationship. And so I knew that once I separated, I wanted to pursue this dream of having another child. So the first thing I did was like, what IVF doctor can I see in Miami?
And this was at 43.
This was at 43%. So I'm like, and they're like, first thing this doctor says to me is like, Cleveland Clinic stops doing like, egg retrievals at age 43. You're like, you're right at the cusp and whatnot. So it was fascinating. I went on this journey, and because Carl was a close friend and we had gotten to know each other, I was very open with him about this. I was like, I always wanted more children. Being a mom has been the most fulfilling part of my life. I think I want to have another child. I would like the possibility of having another child. I sincerely wish someone sat me down and told me to freeze my eggs years ago. Memo to anyone who's even considering. Motherhood may be for you or may not be for you, but having options is for everyone.
That word right there. Because
that was it.
Like I'm saying,
options.
I'm not necessarily actively thinking I need to have another child, but it really is. It's like, why am I closing that door completely? I should have the option, because as successful women, that's what we do in business.
We always have options.
Yeah.
And you want to have options. And so I went down this journey. He was incredibly physically, emotionally supportive. I mean, he was giving me the injections. And it's so interesting because
this was a fated relationship from the start.
It's so fascinating because if you think about it, in the culture that I grew up in, there's a predetermined timeline for how a relationship takes shape. And so it's the dating, it's potentially the arranged marriage, which is what my parents had. And then there's the childbearing, and then it kind of, and so on. And we were like having deep and long conversations about being parents, being step-parents, relationships, like what it takes to be a parent today. It's so different. Like our parents just in our culture and Indian culture and his culture, Lebanese culture, like parents were very strong personalities. His father was a very strong person. My dad was very strong. They almost like hounded us into submission. Mm-hmm. That was the old Indian way. It was like, if you didn't like toe the line and do the right thing, they just like brought us in line by brutal force.
Yeah.
That doesn't work today. You do that to your children and it drives them further away.
Agree.
And so children today are parented in a completely different emotional construct, mm-hmm. and you have to be in tune and understand that. Mm-hmm. And so that's a big cultural and emotional shift for someone who grew up with like, my parents just yelled at me if I didn't do anything well. And I got scared and I did whatever they wanted me to. That doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
My kid's not afraid of me.
Mine are not afraid of me whatsoever. So you're 43. You decide, I'm going to go through the whole freezing my eggs.
Correct. Many rounds.
You didn't have any potential partner in sight, even though you were actually...
Carl and I were talking about it pretty actively. And he was like, are you doing this alone? Are you doing this with me? Like, this is the egg freezing journey. Yeah. We had not like gotten to the embryo stage yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Egg freezing, we were friends.
Yeah.
We were friends.
So was that hard as a 43-year-old? Because you first ran into, they're saying no. Then you had to like find the right doctors that would work with you.
Right.
Okay. And then for women that have never frozen their eggs, but they're considering it. I know that like I even talked to my makeup artist today and she's like, I've considered this too. Kind of explain, because like I said, you've inspired me. I have like now started to pursue this. I have not frozen eggs, but it's definitely something that I'm considering now and I've started to like look into. But as I'm looking into it, I'm finding there's a lot of things you have to consider, especially as a woman in her 40s.
So many things to consider. You need to be on your best wellness journey you possibly can because you want to improve the quality of the eggs. Like there's so many different methods of how people go about it. Some people go with a very specific diet. Other people go get a lot of acupuncture because they feel like that stimulates your fertility and the quality of the eggs. Other people get injections of peptides and do functional medicine. Like I kind of like explored all of the above and ended up like finding my own path. Like I had some acupuncture. I believe in ancient Chinese wellness. I think I invested in a company that literally does this within New York. So I went to the clinic. Like I did that. There's no proven science, but to me, I felt compelling enough and it actually made me feel good, which I think is part of the issue. You don't feel good when you're doing these things. When you're taking in all of these hormones, it's, like I said, an emotional journey. It plays on your emotions. Yeah. And so I was eating really well. I wasn't having any alcohol. I was exercising, but not doing any high intensity exercise, which was hard for me because I wanted to play tennis. And then I was like playing tennis, but not rigorously. Like it's a lot of life adjustments. So I kind of went through that process in my own path of what felt right to me.
And then how many cycles of egg freezing? 3. Was that hard?
Yes.
Why did you do 3?
Because I wanted to, I felt like if I was going to try to have a child, I wanted to have a best chance I possibly could and as many eggs as I possibly could. I was very lucky because I was fertile. 99% of people in my situation potentially couldn't have had children. I had already had children, which is an indicator in some ways for your fertility at the time at an advanced maternal age. And my mom was very fertile and up until a long period of time. And so genetics combined with my lifestyle choices. I'm light on the alcohol, heavier in the exercise, really I eat a lot and I eat a lot of good things. I eat some not so good things, but
it's all about moderation.
But I eat well. And so I just think there were some factors that kind of worked in order for me to be able to do that. But it was a long and grueling process.
Yeah. I think what was the most interesting in some of these consultations I've done with doctors was I realized I'm probably going to do more than one retrieval.
Right.
And it's because they were kind of like, just because you have eggs doesn't guarantee that those eggs are usable.
Correct.
Which was
and
so
they're going to be viable, and also like the quality of them. Like there's a lot of things you can do. Like there are a lot of people who I know who went to functional medicine doctors and took very like a wide range of supplements, very heavy, took injections, took peptides. Like they really tried to boost the quality of their eggs and boost the outcome of their eggs. I didn't go so aggressive on that process. To me, I'm like, there's something about the old Indian philosophy of Kismet. It's like what is meant to be will be.
Yep.
You just kind of like Kismet.
Yeah. I love that. No, I love that. I love that. So you froze eggs.
I froze eggs. I found an amazing doctor. I then had lots of conversations with Carl and we're like, okay, we're going to do this together.
Wait, you decided you're doing this together.
I froze my eggs. We were like, started dating during that process.
Okay.
We kind of went from friends to dating to then we were like, okay, like let's see if we can have a baby together. This was like we don't know what the rate of success is going to be here. We don't know if it's going to happen. And, he'd never been married, never had children. I wanted him to have a family. I didn't know he was going to be able to have a family with me. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
like,
completely.
We come from different places. Like I had 2 children. This was optionality. And this was a gift, a bonus, a present. But I didn't know if that was going to happen or not.
Right.
I didn't know if that was going to work. And so I didn't want to put so much pressure on our relationship that, hey, this person gets engaged to me, gets married to me. Like I can't have children. He's now lost the ability to like have biological children. Like I didn't want to go through all that. I didn't want to put all that pressure on myself.
That actually scares me. Like
there's too much pressure.
Yeah.
I was like, let's see if this works. Again, Indian philosophy, Kismet. If it's meant to be, it will be, and it'll happen. And our relationship will also evolve. This will be an amazing test. What do you do? Try before you buy. I'm like, let me go through this emotional journey with this person. And if we stand the test of time, whether we have this child or we don't, it'll be very telling about what our partnership is made of. What is that emotional support? What is that physical support? What does it look like when we're both busy and working? Let's try this.
Yeah.
And we tried and we navigated it. Like it was rocky because there are a lot of hormones involved in this process, especially with implantation. You're taking progesterone. I was taking estradiol. It's taking so much. And we just like did it. And then
how far into it? Because you froze eggs. And then how long did those eggs sit?
So we froze eggs and then I had to wait for my cycle to time the implantation. So I had an implantation, I will be candid with you, and it did not work out. And it was devastating.
Wait, eggs were frozen for how long?
Not a very short period of time. Because we basically once we had the rounds of eggs and we had enough that we felt like we could do a cycle, then we got the sperm donation and we got moving.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then we made the embryos.
Okay.
So once we made the embryos, we had to wait to time the cycle to actually implant them because you have to like time it around your menstrual cycle.
Okay, so the embryos thing is what I found interesting also. Yeah. So the doctor was like, you can get eggs. We can't test them because they're just eggs. So we don't know if they're viable. They might be.
We don't know how many embryos they're going to make.
Yeah, how many embryos they're going to make. We can even thaw them and some of them don't make it.
Correct.
Which I was like, oh my gosh, that's surprising.
Right. All of the above.
Then he's like, but if you've got embryos, we can test them, save the ones that are like genetically perfect.
So
like
I didn't test my embryos. And this is something so interesting. So I didn't have a lot of embryos.
I'm like trusting the universe.
Yes, I had the eggs. We went through the embryo process. Once we had the embryos, we could have at that point genetically tested for boy or girl. It did not matter to me. I wanted a healthy child. I was like, I have a boy and I have a girl. And maybe that's why I was like, it's up to the universe, what happens next. And we had no predisposition to wanting a girl or wanting a boy. We wanted a healthy child.
Okay.
And then I didn't want to lose any of those limited embryos in that process because I didn't have so many.
Got it. Oh, how many did you have?
I think we had around 5.
Oh yeah. So
I'm pretty sure
had to like.
It was 5. It was like
You were doing this.
Yes. I was crossing my fingers and hoping. And to be totally frank, I had 3 implantations. So I went through this implantation 3 times. And the third time I was like, this is it. If this does not take, the next 2 embryos, we're going to try a surrogate.
Oh,
because I put my body and myself to the limit of what I think I could go through.
Yeah.
And then the third literally took and I was pregnant and I had a very healthy, happy baby girl.
I love that. At 47.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the first one, it looked like it was going to happen. Then it didn't happen. Then there was some emotional factors that were going on there. My father passed away. So that was just really like threw the whole process off. Then I wasn't feeling emotionally well to go through the process after losing my father. Yeah. And I decided to take a pause. And I felt like for me, I just couldn't go through this process with the grief I was going through. Mm-hmm. So then I waited. And then I had another implementation and didn't take. Because I honestly feel like I didn't wait long. I waited months. I wasn't ready. And then like 8 months after my father died, I was like, okay, I now feel like I'm in a zen place where I can do this and give it my all. And I got pregnant.
I'm so happy to hear that. I honestly, like talking to you, it was like wait a second.
You know, it's so interesting though. Like I was so traumatized by this experience of like the cycle of life. I lost my father and it was so hard for me.
Yeah.
It was tough. I still feel it. I feel it every day. That feeling doesn't go away. You like learn to live with it, but you never quite get over it.
Yeah. You're
close with somebody. They battled cancer 4 times. They kidney failure, dialysis, me doing the dialysis on him. It was a terrible experience that I don't wish upon anyone. But then I lost him and then I got pregnant and then I had a baby. And then it's like that joy, that happiness. Like I just started living again after I had the baby.
I love that.
It brought me back to life.
I love that. All right. So let's kind of jump to co-parenting, but also it just made me think of something. And that is, how did your ex feel about you getting pregnant? And how did your kids feel about you getting pregnant?
This is so fascinating. So my son immediately told me, like, I don't want you to have another baby. He's like, it's embarrassing. The first emotion that came to his mind was embarrassing. He didn't want me going to school, dropping him, picking up, and being pregnant. He's like, I'm so much older. Like, that's embarrassing. He loves his sister. This is the best thing that ever happened to him. He will tell you that. So
how old is he?
He's going to be 13 in a week. My daughter, the middle one, begged me to have a child. She's like, I need a sister. I felt so much pressure to have a girl. I'm like, if this baby comes out and it's a boy, we're dead. Because I'm going to be dealing with a preteen crisis meltdown of my daughter, Anissa, who wanted a baby sister. She's the best sister anyone could have ever made in this planet. She dotes and loves her sister. So that's amazing. My ex-husband was incredible. He always knew that I thrived on being a mom. He knew that I wanted lots of kids. He's like, you can have as many kids as you want, not with me. And his mother, who I still call mom, who I adore to this, like, she's just such an incredible part of my life. Mm-hmm. And I still call her mom. She says, you can have as many kids as you want without my son.
Yeah, I love that.
So we were all aligned that I was going to have more children. And I even talked to her about it before Carl was even in the picture.
Yeah.
And she's like, please feel free to have as many kids as you want, not with my son.
Yeah.
And he was great until this day. It's so funny because Arya's now like about 14 months and she spends a lot of time with her brother and her sister. And when my ex-husband is here in Florida, she spends time with them and she spends time with him. We call him Uncle Manoj and she loves him and laughs with him and he picks her up and plays with her. And like, it's honestly so beautiful. Like I can't even make this up. We are very much a modern, blended, happy family. And is everything perfect all the time? Absolutely not. But we all love and support each other. And it's so beautiful.
How was co-parenting in the beginning? Because I feel like before, when you're starting to get it going, it can be hard.
It was always great because we shared the same values and we always put our kids first.
Okay.
So I will say it was always great. Like we were both very in tune with the fact that our relationship wasn't working and that we had to prioritize our children and make this as seamless as possible. So I will tell you, we did something that is very unconventional. We got one apartment and we kept the kids in that apartment and we both cycled living there.
Wait, I have heard this concept before.
And people think it's crazy, but it's totally not crazy because it was genius. Our kids didn't even feel it. They lived in one home with one live-in help that really helped support this journey for us. They had the same routine, the same type of food,
Just a different parent in the house.
Like I would live there and be with them and be present. I would then cook a bunch of food and then like leave it in the fridge and the freezer and whatever, and then go stay at my other apartment, which is a block away. I was at the house every day after they got home from school. I was still around with their dad. I was there every day, but he was living there, like, and he was visiting from New York. And then eventually, after 2 years of doing that, we got our own separate apartments. And the kids we live half a block away from each other and we see each other every day. It's kind of amazing.
That is.
I can't make it up.
Okay,
it's so great.
That's like a perfect scenario.
It's phenomenal.
My life is definitely not going in that direction as much as I wish.
My kids just like, they realize they have 2 homes.
Yeah.
And they pop into, my son's like, I need my basketball sneakers. I'm coming over. He texts me. I'm like, great. And he's like staying with his dad for a few days, but like, every day they're with their dad, I'm at their dad's place.
Yeah.
And I'm there every day. I see my kids every day and he sees his kids every day that he's in Florida. We believe that children should grow up with love and security. Mm-hmm. These are 2 things that I think are super important in your formative years. And I got to be honest with you, I didn't grow up with a lot of that. And so I had a very challenging childhood experience. And because of that, I'm overly sensitive to giving my kids a comforting, secure, loving space.
All right. So for our last question, what do you wish women knew about starting over?
Don't be afraid. Mm-hmm. You know, Nike created the best slogan ever. Just do it.
Yeah.
You learn and grow and thrive from experience.
Yeah.
Until you actually start over and do it, you don't know what the journey's going to be like.
Yeah.
It's different for every person and you just have to embrace it. As an entrepreneur, you learn a very important lesson. The only constant is change. And in starting over, the only constant is change. You just learn to navigate it.
Completely. And I think
make the most of it.
Make the most of it. And also, I think the other thing that women specifically and just people should know is that it doesn't matter your age. Because I actually posted something a couple of years ago. I remember posting about how it was like my age when I had my kids, my age when I started Naturium.
And we had kids at the same time.
Yeah. And then my age when I sold the company. Some of the comments, I didn't even realize this. Like they're essentially saying how old you were when you did these things. And it's making me realize I'm not actually messing up my timeline. Like all these women, especially, were just saying that they felt like they were already supposed to be at some milestone in their life at like the age of 28, the age of 30. And then they're seeing this post where I said I was actually in my 30s when I had my kids, in my 40s when I started my company and sold it, that kind of thing. And they're just like, oh my gosh. And now I'm starting over as a divorced woman, dating again. And who knows what's next for me career-wise and everything. So
focus on your own personal best. I used to swim when I was younger. I mean, I still swim, but you know, I swam very intensely. And there are 2 types of swimmers. There are the swimmers that swim straight in their lane and focus on their own personal best. Starting over is about being that swimmer. It's about your journey, your lane, your personal best.
Yep.
The other swimmers who's like, always looking right, always looking left, always looking right, always looking left, constantly comparing and contrasting yourself with everyone around you. That's not me as a swimmer. Don't be that swimmer.
Yeah.
Be the swimmer who literally is focused on your own personal best because you will make the most of that journey and that experience.
I love that. On that note, let's end this because I don't think it gets more perfect than that. Thank you so much for this amazing conversation.
Thank you
and for
having
inspiring
me. Lots of happy tears.
Yeah, happy tears. I love it. Go get it. It's a beautiful fragrance. Thanks for joining us on this episode of My Life Online. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to follow, rate, and review, and also share it with a friend so we can continue making great episodes for you. You can also find me on social media. I'm at Susan Yara. And if you enjoy beauty, especially skincare, make sure to check out my YouTube channel, Mixed Makeup. I'll talk to you soon.